What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports Hardwood Show. A little Tuesday night NBA action, a full slate, 11 games. So there's a ton to get to, a ton to break down, a ton of news. Yesterday was hectic. I'm imagining today's going to be pretty hectic with news kind of rolling in all the way up to lock and then after lock. So it's going to be a battle out there tonight. This is definitely going to be a tough one. If you're just hopping in, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button so we can keep doing these shows for free. Very important to us. We'll give out some gear a little bit later in the show. So like, subscribe to the video. Joined by two of my boys today. Giannis is on the slate. I keep saying it just happens to work out every time Giannis is on the slate. Title's here with us, so we'll talk some Bucks for sure. Big T is on as always. I want to go to Big T first. I mean, coming off a workbench play that it's the best way to put it. I mean, it was a full climax workbench play. I mean, that got everything done. Maybe multiple. I mean, it could have got multiple members done on the workbench too. I mean, Juancho just full smash. Throw it to you to take that victory lap right out of the gate here.
Yeah, that's where you kind of get the lady satisfied before you for once. I mean, usually the guy gets home before the lady, but yesterday with those plays, the lady definitely was very happy before the dude. So, I mean, it was just one of those games where he just crushed. That's what the workbench play is all about, though. Yeah. Cheap play, not going to give some chalky guy. I mean, the dude was 2% on FanDuel, minimum price $3,500, and gets almost a 50 piece. Hopefully, some people won some cheese off that because it was a decent call. Some of the other guys too did well. I mean, Beverly, we talked about Beverly on the show. How he was super. I mean, he was under 1% on FanDuel. If you played like on my main team, I had Beverly under 1% and Juancho 2%, 2%. Both of them go for 40 plus at basically min price. It's tough to lose after that, right? Like if you lock those two in and get above 10x, it is you'd have to completely butcher the rest of the team.
Especially with a guy like Jokic just absolutely smashing every night. It makes it easy. I mean, that workbench play was, I mean, that would be equivalent to if you're a single guy and you just kind of run the gamut on the weekend where you get, get a lady on Friday, you get maybe a new one on Saturday. And then, you go out and have some drinks and watch football with your boys on Sunday and somehow you score a chick. I mean, that's just like the
3
back
for
to
3
back
on
to back.
The weekend. Maybe even like 4 for 3. Like you get a double duty one day.
Yeah. And if you're a married dude, that's like getting it, getting the session in. And then the next day she comes back for a little bit more, So that was the big workbench play that we needed. I think we're gonna build off that.
It's gonna be tough to build off it. Is the only problem.
Hey, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna expect like 20x or whatever. But I mean, it's well, you're gonna get something good. I mean, Big T goes on heaters. All right, I've known Big T for many years now, and we've worked together for many years. When Big T gets hot, you want to be on Big T's side. I feel him heating up a little bit. Title, I'm gonna throw it to you. Welcome to the show. Did you play any Juancho last night? I didn't. I kind of, felt bad about it at the end of the night. I only played like one or two teams, so didn't play Juancho. But did you have any?
No, so I just played cash on both sites, and I just backloaded my whole lineup really for the last game for the Kawhi news. So, I mean, he was a good play. Great call by Big T. I looked at him on DraftKings, but that news was just so tilting. Waited for the last two games and made my decisions there, but still had a profitable night, so can't complain.
I wanted to ask you guys too. So yesterday on the show, so this is kind of where I'm at as a tournament player, but two guys that ended up just crazy chalky on the slate. Well, two that I want to talk about, but other guys too. So Horton Tucker on DK and Kuzma on FanDuel were like insanely popular and I'm not saying it because they busted either, because I said it before the game even got going. I just literally never even considered them. Like I never looked at them. Is it just price plays or why? As chalky guys, I'm sure you guys considered them.
Yeah,
Horton Tucker. Like how in the world was that dude 40% owned?
Yeah, I'm not. But Horton Tucker, I'm not. I can't really speculate on. But Kuzma, I played him on FanDuel. I mean, he was 4.1K. Starting, he played 30 minutes. Obviously, low usage with LeBron and AD out there. But 4.1K, on this Lakers team, you just think he'd be able to grind out value. Well, he didn't get there. got the rebounds. I mean, he finished with 7 rebounds, just didn't get any scoring. I mean, if he would have scored his, 10 to 12 points, he would have been fine. I think it was a good play on FanDuel at 4.1K when we wanted to play Jokic. We wanted to play who's Kyrie. We wanted to play Lillard. There's a lot of guys to spend up for. Small, and the other thing, power forward was a pretty bad position overall. I mean, you had Anthony Davis on FanDuel, but after him, I mean, there was just like nothing you could even play. So you basically had to go cheap if you didn't go Anthony Davis. I didn't go Anthony Davis, so going cheap, you had him, you had Thaddeus Young, you had Mangone's workbench play of the night, Paul Millsap. So they're just, you had to go cheap there. And, I think the 4-1 was fine for him on FanDuel. The Horton guy on DK, yeah, I can't really speak to that.
I'll speak to that because I actually did end up playing him, but it was mainly because like I liked Bruce Brown a little more, but it was just so hard locking all the first spot, like locking 4 guys in your lineup to start at 6 o'clock. And then you wanted Jokic on DraftKings. You wanted a spot for either Paul George or Kawhi because it seemed like only one of them was going to do it. You already locked Kyrie. And so it was more of a stars and scrubs build. And that Horton Tucker game locked later than the first game. So I don't know. I felt like he was one of the better values, but I didn't love it for sure. Like he definitely wasn't a play I liked, but I thought he would get enough minutes. And
I just physically, I know sounds results oriented. Like I know it does, but I physically can't imagine playing Horton Tucker over Wancho starting. Like I just don't. I'm not saying again, I'm not trying to sound results oriented, but
it was different positions. The forward position was better.
Power forward.
I played him at small forward. So like the small.
I mean, maybe that's what it was though.
Kawhi was power forward only.
For sure.
Yeah, that's I don't know. That
was
was
one of those
me.
things that just caught me off guard because I legitimately never even looked at Horton. Like I didn't even know he was in play, and then he ended up 40%.
Big T's value plays go for like 89x, and then he's going to come on here and bash all the ones that busted. Typical stuff.
No, I do hear what you said. Like I didn't like the play.
I was saying this before that happened too. Like because the Lakers started before Wancho, and I just literally couldn't believe it. Sounds bad because of how it ended up. But that's not why I'm bringing it up.
You're right. No, he wasn't a great play though. But
anybody was better than Millsap though. So we should get back to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to play Millsap and you're trying to get him to grind out value, get him to 22, 23 fantasy points, and you're happy in cash games, you move on. I mean, Mangone played him as the workbench play of the night. Come on, Mangone, you can do better than that. I mean, we had JT Hayes about to get the guitar going, sing us a song. He had a pink room, and Mangone brings up Paul Millsap just to take it from freaking midnight to 6, like so quick. I was watching that
Paul
show.
Millsap. I swear to God, as a Denver guy, I feel like I know them as well as anyone. If you ever play Gary Harris or Paul Millsap, besides like a 2-game slate, you need to retire and unregister that night.
Well, more importantly, if you're going to play and put them in your lineups. I'm talking strictly about that show yesterday. I was tuned in. I was feeling good. I mean, you guys had great mojo going. Big T throws out the Wancho winner. Like I said, JT Hayes is ready to, sing us a song in a pink freaking room. And then Mangone just goes for just the ultimate, just like, killed the whole mood. I mean, just killed everything and says, Paul Millsap, you're down the hatch. JT Hayes is done. The chat is done. Just killed it all. I'm telling you what, like, the workbench play tonight, guys like Millsap are not going to be brought up.
Millsap and Hogan are never going to be workbench plays for any of us. I can tell you.
Very talented guy. I love his work. I love what he does. Very successful DFS player. But man, that hurt on just so many levels last night. Just so many levels. I mean, the workbench play just getting such good momentum. People are just loving it. Just a fun little, addition to an already pretty solid show. And then he says Paul Millsap. We have 11 games, boys. We got to kind of get focused in here. As always, hit the like button and subscribe. We're going to give out some gear after a couple games here. We'll pick a number, and we'll, if we achieve that number in terms of likes, we'll give out some gear. We're kicking off a new promo today, and in honor of Tony's workbench play, bringing it all the way home last night. The promo code is Workbench 25. I thought it was Workbench 21. Let me I'm gonna have to verify that, either 25 or 21. Pretty sure it was 25. Let me do you know, Tony, off the top of your
I
head?
think it was 25. You said pre-show, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna verify the either 21 or 25. It's Workbench 21. Workbench 21, and that will get you 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. And we had to release it. I mean, we had to roll it out because of that Wancho call last night. A lot of people. I mean, you got a lot of positive feedback on that Workbench play. I mean,
if I can't get positive feedback yesterday, I'll never get positive feedback because I had a good day with calls.
Yes. All right. Just fully verified that it is Workbench 21. Sorry for the confusion. Workbench 21 gets you 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. So check it out. A lot of good stuff going on over there. We have, all our typical content, the playbook. We have the core plays. We have our new renovated cash sheet, which is kind of just a breakdown of all the solid value plays on the slate. Mangone does it for DK. I do it for FanDuel. And we kind of, denote our core plays within that sheet. PGA kicking off tomorrow. We'll have full PGA breakdown, core plays, tiers, rankings, cash sheet, Showdown playbook for every single round 1, 2, 3, 4. So a ton of content. And then our NFL content is going to kick off for the playoffs as well, be slightly modified and improved from the regular season. So head on over to Run Pure Sports, use that promo code Workbench21 to get 25% off your first payment. All right, let's dive into this. And, it's a challenging slate because, we still don't know fully on the Clippers. I mean, a lot of people assume that Kawhi was going to sit. He's going to play now. And, the guy that's questionable is Paul George. And, Paul George sat out last night with an ankle tweak, didn't look all that serious. Marcus Morris is also questionable. He hasn't played, I don't think, at all this season. That would be a hit to Batum. So, before we dive into these games, I'll throw it to you first, Big T. You talked about it yesterday about backloading your lineup. I mean, is that something you'll be looking to do again today to kind of wait for this news?
So if you're playing multiple teams, I think you should have at least one of your teams every single day where you fade the early games, no matter who plays early. I don't care who plays early. It could be literally anybody that plays early. One team where you just backload it. Just ignore, pretend the first. So what, tonight there's 3 7:00 games, three 7:30 games. Just literally at least ignore the 7:00, if not the 7:30s too. In the worst case scenario, you just get on a completely different build, which is never bad in tournaments. Even if, yesterday, this happens in our chat in the Discord every freaking day, and it drives me insane. Kyrie's just going nuts. Oh, no Kyrie, no cash, blah, blah, blah. No, every day it happens. He ends up, it was a blowout. He didn't get fourth quarter run. He was one of the best plays on the slate, 50% owned. Not saying any of that's not true. But he ends up at 51. It doesn't end up on a lot of the winners because of the dudes that go off later, Kawhi and Jokic and all the guys that Jared Allen even at some point too, same game. But a lot of guys go off. You just get a different roster build. And last night, the dude that won $150K on DK had Jeff Green in his lineup. How many times do we talk about this, Hoop? If you play a min-price guy, you are not dead no matter what they get. He got 8 or 6 or whatever Jeff Green got. He was in the winner of the biggest tournament on DK, however big that field was, $150K, the $10 or $15 tournament. He had Jeff Green in there. So, you're never dead with those cheap guys ever. I hate when people overreact in that first game. And the Discord is just – I always talk about how great it is all day. That first 30 minutes of the NBA slate, don't be in there because it is the worst place on earth to be.
The PGA one after the first eagle or birdie of the day is pretty painful as well. But, that's kind of what you expect for sure. But I agree with you. Yeah, we always talk about those cheap plays, man. It's not necessarily what the cheap plays do. It kind of is more about what it allows you to do with the rest of your lineup. You're not dead. That's the thing that people don't realize. Okay, so if a 3K guy gets 8, he's 10 points off value or what you'd project to be, his value. Can make that up so easy with those big studs. Title, I'll throw it to you. Same kind of question. Are you going to probably be looking to backload your lineup as well today to see whether George is in or Morris and the full situation with the Clippers?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to want to leave some spots open, but the problem is it's such a big slate and there's only 2 games that start or the 2 last games, and the Clippers are one of them. And I don't think we're going to get the Paul George news before the other 9 games lock. So that makes it pretty tough, but at least the last 2 games are 2 of the better games on the slate, a 228 total with the Bulls and the Kings, and then a 231 total with the Clippers and the Warriors. My lean right now is Kawhi plays as we think. And I think Paul George, my guess is that he sits. I don't know for sure, obviously, but that's kind of how I'm going to plan my lineups, I think. If Paul George is out, obviously Kennard gets a big boost. Patrick Beverley gets a big boost. Lou Williams, Batum, all of them. If he's in, they're still playable, but definitely not as good of a plays. It's a really tricky slate to dive in for sure.
It really is. And one side note, you mentioned a guy, Luke Kennard freaking sucks. Like, how did he get that massive contract? Like, he is terrible at basketball. He's simply just not good. You watch him play, he sucks at basketball. Tony, what do you think about that?
No, so he was in my big decisions last night. Like, once all the Clippers news hit, I wanted to backload it. My decisions came down to like all those guys, Lou and Beverly and friggin' Kennard. And like Kennard's the guy that I definitely didn't want to play. I told myself coming into this year, no matter how it works out, I'm not going to play guys like that I just think suck. Like, no matter what happens, I'm just not, whether I have to reconstruct my whole team, I'm just not going to do it. I don't want to play Luke Kennard. Like, he doesn't have upside.
What does he do well? I mean, what does he do well on the basketball court?
I mean, he's literally just has to hit all his shots.
Yeah, but he doesn't hit shots.
This guy was like, just a side point that doesn't mean anything, but this dude was like the best high school player I've ever seen in my life. He averaged like 60 a game in Cincinnati, like just ridiculous in high school.
You better keep maybe you can teach him a lesson how to continue to talk about your high school basketball stats for like 20 years, and might be better suited for him, because what he's doing in the NBA is not it does not look pretty. But that's just a side note. All right, let's
got paid somehow. That's the crazier part.
He got a huge contract too. I mean, and I watched him pretty closely with the Pistons. He sucked there. Like, I just don't.
The Whitey, a little white shooter, they're never going to be good.
Like, he doesn't hit shots. I mean, I don't know. He's just not good. But first game, Rockets, Pacers, total 225.5. Indies favored by 2. And, I mean, on the Pacers side, Malcolm Brogdon coming off 2 massive games, 50 fantasy points, back-to-back games. Oladipo, we talked about him on the show last time, and the minutes continue to be there, and he finally had the game. I mean, we said it, or at least I did. I said I really like him. The minutes are creeping up. Production's going to be there. He goes out and drops 45 fantasy points. Played 36 minutes, 37 minutes. The price is still low. I really like Oladipo tonight. On DK, he's 7K. On FanDuel, he is 7.2. Sabonis, the price is starting to catch up. But, I mean, overall, it's a really good spot for the Pacers here at home against the Rockets. On the Rockets side, I don't think I'll probably be going to James Harden here. I mean, maybe you can take a look at him in tournaments. We'll see what Tony says with that. John Wall, I think, still has a really good price tag on DK, not so much on FanDuel. Christian Wood is questionable, so we should get that news. Yeah, this is the first game, so we'll get that news. Whether or not he plays could be a boost to a guy like Cousins, or even Eric Gordon, who potentially would get more run. Throw it to you first, Tony. What are you doing here? Any interest in Harden or these Pacers guys tonight?
Yeah, so the Pacers guy, this is what I like about doing these shows 5 days a week, is you get in a little rhythm with guys. Obviously, the more games we get to watch and the more stats we get, the better I think we'll be on these shows, just because we see more. Like last game, again, not to victory lap too much, but people kept asking questions about freaking Aaron Holiday because he started. This is exactly the Luke Kennard of Indiana. I'm never playing Aaron Holiday. This doesn't have anything to do with today's slate, by the way, but like, if he's ever started, I'm just not playing him. He sucks. You know how many times I've played him as a value guy and he doesn't get – he had 6 points the other night in 20 minutes. I remember on the show I said he played 25 minutes for 6 points the game before. Played 20 minutes and got 6. The dude is awful. So that guy there's dead. Cross him off your list forever. He's gone. But back to that, I mean, Sabonis, Brogdon, and Oladipo are pretty much going to be in play for me almost every slate so all of a sudden I like playing 2 or 3 teams in NBA. Maybe one of them you backload, like we said, maybe one of them you play a bunch of early guys just to get different builds where, especially on an 11-game slate where there's a lot of directions you can go. Like that other night when JT and K Fallick and all these guys got top 10, they had like one dude the same. So it shows you that you can do really well without playing the same guys. You can have completely different paths. Sabonis has been awesome. Brogdon has been awesome. 57, 54 the last 2 games. Oladipo, you called it. I've been on Oladipo a bunch. He felt a little too expensive, but he just can crush.
He's too cheap. I honestly think he's too cheap. I mean, dude, these guys they're playing so many minutes. Like in a competitive game with the Rockets tonight, these guys are all playing upper 30s. Brogdon, Oladipo, and Sabonis, and just so much usage between the 3 of them. I think that with Oladipo, it's a situation, a week from now, he's going to be up to like 8K on these sites. I think he's good value right now.
He's just a really good play. And it's kind of like the Toronto guys that we talked about before too, where you just feel pretty safe with these guys. Like even if they don't totally smash, you feel like they're going to get you somewhere around where they need to get, all 3 of them. The guy I don't like that I know we've had some people talk up a little bit, Miles Turner, man. The dude was getting mid-30s, but that's when he's getting legitimately 4 steals, 2 blocks, 5 blocks, 2 steals, and he's still barely getting the value. If you're banking on a dude getting 7 stocks to get the value, I don't care who it is. Like, I don't think that's a very good play. Yeah. With the other 3 guys being that good, I couldn't even imagine playing a guy like Miles Turner. So you got those 3, and then Houston, I mean, you got a 2-point spread. You got guys that you can definitely put in there, especially if Christian Wood is out. I mean, Harden and Wall always in play. I mean, who gets the boost is the question because they don't have any bigs. I mean, look, besides Boogie's really their only guy, and Boogie just hasn't played.
Yeah.
Who boost?
I mean, I honestly think it could be a guy like Eric Gordon. I think it could really stabilize Eric Gordon's minutes. Like I think
who's going to play the bigs though?
I mean, they've been willing. I mean, they rolled Tucker all last season. I mean, they're willing to do that. I mean, Cousins will obviously get a little boost, but they don't have Bruno. Maybe Bruno gets in there for some. I don't know.
He's almost going to have to, and like this Tate's going to have to play big minutes.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. Indiana's going to run out Turner and Sabonis. Who's going to guard Sabonis?
Great question. I mean, that's why I really like him. I think he's a great tournament play. I don't think people will go to him because of that price tag. I think he's a really good play. So, Title, I'll throw it over to you. What are you thinking here in this Rockets Pacers game?
Yeah, I think it's more of a tournament spot just because it's the first game of the day. There's other spots that we'd rather, but I agree with what you said. Sabonis on DraftKings, I think makes for a good play. FanDuel is a good play as well, actually. So both sites, Sabonis, Oladipo, I agree with you. I mean, he's playing a lot of minutes. We've seen old Oladipo, and I think he's coming back into a form after his injury. So I like that play. Those are really the only 2 guys in this game that I do like, though. On FanDuel, if you need a small forward punt, I don't mind Justin Holiday. He gets minutes. He's a little better than his brother Aaron, but it's just that's like a Millsap play. It's not really going to get you too far. So if you need it at 4K, he's getting minutes. He's going to be out there. He gets some rebounds and stuff, but I'm going to be off this game for the most part.
Yeah, I agree. It's just tough with this potential news to lock in too many dudes early on. But I agree with what Tony said. If you're building multiple lineups, I like this spot more than most of these early games. So I don't mind getting some exposure to the Pacers. If Wood's out, you could take a chance on some of those Rockets values as well.
I'll say one more thing, too, not to talk too much about this game, but if Christian Wood is in, I love him. Yeah, I always play these athletic bigs against Indiana. When you watch these shows all year, you're going to hear me say it every time Indiana's on the slate. Athletic bigs against Indiana crush. He will be 2% owned if he plays because no one wants to lock in early guys. if you play like Wall, Wood, and then two of the guys on Indiana, I like that on one team, and I think it could totally crush right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, if this game does stay close, both teams, they roll their guys heavy minutes, and I agree with you. It's just not it's not the worst spot in the world for sure.
Boogie definitely isn't it though. Like somebody in the chat said, Boogie workbench. No, Boogie's got to show me some minutes before we're taking him to the workbench.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wonder why he's not getting as many minutes. I kind of figured
he's slower than me.
Yeah, crazy fall for him. Just couldn't
like he just can't move at all.
It's a good point. All right, got the Cavs pace. Magic totals 214.5. Orlando is favored by 5.5, and this is one of those run back games they played a couple nights ago, I believe, and then the Magic pretty much kicked their ass. So they're doing it again. MCW is out. Fournier is questionable, which is pretty big. I mean, if Fournier's out, they already have MCW out. Could be a pretty thin team here in the Magic. On the Cavs side, Garland will be out again. Obviously, Kevin Love is out. So we have some injuries here. Sexton, they're just going to play him as much as he can handle. And he played in that blowout last time out. Like, he still got close to 40 minutes, and he's just shooting a ton. I think Sexton is in play here tonight just for that reason. I mean, he is going to play as many minutes as he can handle. He's going to shoot as much as he wants to. Dotson started. If he starts again today, he's only 3.5K on FanDuel. I think he is in play a little bit. Andre Drummond, like the situation with Drummond and McGee, it's like they almost prefer McGee to be out there. I can't imagine playing Drummond right now with what's going on. Maybe in tournaments, it's a different story. Tony, you'll be able to talk about that. On the Magic side, with MCW out, I really like Fultz. Good price tag on both sites, FanDuel and DraftKings. Vooch is just a safe play. I don't know if I'll go there tonight, but he's just, if you're looking for someone that has a floor of like 40 fantasy points, I'm good with Vooch. Cole Anthony should get some more run. Throw it to you first, Title. Are you looking at any of these guys in cash games tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Drummond's going to be popular on DraftKings, I think, because he's 8'6", and it is scary because we just never know, like you said, what Drummond, if he gets his 35 minutes, he's absolutely going to smash. If he gets benched for McGee and gets 23 minutes, he's probably going to bust. So he's going to be chalky, though, I think, on DraftKings, or at least pretty good ownership. So tournaments, I wouldn't go there. Cash games, yeah, I mean, that's a decision you have to make, and it's tough, but he is definitely in play. Dante Exum's also out. He got hurt last game, so that means even more minutes for Sexton. I like him on both sides. Yeah, he was getting blowout run too in the fourth quarter when they were down 20, and I had him too. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Like they just they don't care, I guess, about how many minutes he runs. He's a young guy, just loves playing basketball on a team that's not fighting for the playoffs. So anytime it's like that, 7-2 on DraftKings, point guard and shooting guard eligible. Shooting guard eligible on FanDuel too. I like him on both spots. Markelle Fultz, like you said, I think he makes for a better play on FanDuel. He's 5,800, 6,200. There's other guys in the range that I like a little more, but if Fournier is out, he does definitely get a big bump. Then the last guy, Dotson on FanDuel, like you said, stone cold min. He should start again with no Exum. They need him to play a lot of minutes. They're just so thin back there. So he's definitely a good punt. DraftKings, he's priced a little too high. And then Vooch, like you said, he's in play every slate for tournaments. He's just a good basketball player, and he finds a way to get it done against anybody. He's better than Drummond. He just had a great game last game against them, and he didn't even play at the end. So he could absolutely go back and smash at low ownership in tournaments.
Yeah, with Vooch, I mean, just a high floor, high ceiling situation, which is ideal for cash games and tournaments. Throw it over to you, Tony. I guess the most important guy for tournaments to figure out would be Andre Drummond. And if the ownership does come in like it's looking like, I think he's a great fade in tournaments. I mean, I think he's a perfect guy to get off if everyone's going to be on him tonight. What's your take on him? And then anything else in this game that stands out?
Yeah, I mean, Drummond's a fade for me for sure. I don't even think he's in play. I'm glad he's going to be chalky. Vooch is so good. Vooch could easily get him in foul trouble too. You just don't know. I mean, he's fine. I think he'll end up. I mean, he's somewhat cheap on DK, so I think he gets you in the 40s more than likely. Doesn't kill you, but I don't need to lock that in early in the slate. I mean, Sexton too. So like, this is where I just think he's more of a cash type guy. I mean, he plays a ton of minutes, which cash people love. He's just priced pretty good though. I mean, in the 7Ks, I want to see him in the 40s. I mean, like last game, he plays 39 minutes. He gets 29 fantasy points. The game before, he plays 36 for 40, 36 for 39, 40 for 30. I mean, he's like solid. He just feels like more of a cash player. Like, I don't want to spend 7,200 on Colin Sexton. I get why people would play it because the minutes and the floor is nice, but I don't think he ever like gets you some just insane game in this spot, especially because Cleveland's going to struggle to score, I think. So I don't know. I don't love any of the Cleveland guys. Okoro's, I think, supposed to be back tonight too, which should eat up all that value. I mean, Dotson's priced up, but he's obviously not in play. Chetty Osman crushed last game. He's not in play if Okoro. I mean, I'll never forget
Okoro, that name hurts. I just looking at that name just pains me. That night he played like 50 minutes and had 4 fantasy points. That just I can't get over. I can't get over. I can't get over that one.
Over Chetty that whole game too. Like Chetty was on the bench the whole time for Okoro. So that kind of eats up that. Orlando, I mean, with MCW out, MCW, another guy that we've been right on this show that so dusty and so chalky.
I can't believe how popular he was, man. Like everyone was on him.
He's so bad.
I'm convinced people literally just run the projections and play the teams and don't care who's good and who's not. Title says it all the time. Like, the dude just sucks. MCW, like, he's not cheap is the problem. We started the show with Jeff Green, 8 fantasy points. He's 3,200, 3,300. MCW was like 4,600 and just as chalky. When you start getting up in that range, you do need production. You need him to be in the mid-20s. Yeah. Like, just embarrassing. But then, so now that he's out tonight, I keep saying this about Cole Anthony. The dude is so small. Like, he is tiny. Getting blocked, I don't think he's big enough. So I'm going to stay clear of this game. I like the Indiana game way more. Yeah. Vooch and Drummond would be my 2 guys. But center is always loaded. I don't want to lock up my center spots with guys. I think they both get you decent numbers. So you can lock in a floor if you want, but I think the roster flexibility is more important than locking in that floor.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you for sure in regards to that. I mean, flexibility, I mean, we keep talking about it, but it's going to be key tonight. It really is. You know, you don't know what's going to happen with the Clippers. I mean, if Paul George is ruled out, you're going to want Kawhi again. And I don't think they're going to play him and limit him at all. Like, if he plays, he's playing tonight. And you're going to want him if George is out. We'll talk about that when we get there. I mean, that last game is by far the most important. Next game, Wizards 76ers. Big total in this game, 234.5. Philadelphia favored by 6.5. And I mean, I think it is the highest total on the slate. And it's weird because there's not many guys that I'm considering tonight from this game. You know, you have some big names here. You have Westbrook, we have Beal, you have Joel Embiid. The problem for me with these guys, they're all priced pretty fully. Embiid, 24 minutes last game. Like, his minutes I think are going to fluctuate all throughout the season. If they're able to get him rest, they're going to. And, you know, I don't want to pay $10K for a guy that, you know, is only going to play 24 minutes. So, yeah, it's a weird game where the total is very high, but I really don't see myself playing anyone. Thomas Bryant was cheap for a while. We were kind of riding him. His price has come up. So, for the most part, I'm off this game. It's early. I'm not going to really lock anyone in. There's nothing that stands out as a good value. You know, Title, I'll throw it to you first. I mean, are you seeing any value type plays that you're willing to lock in right out of the gate, or do you like any of these studs in the game?
Yeah, no, I don't really see any value as much. On DraftKings, Tyrese Maxey is 3,300. We don't really know his role, though, but I expect him to get some playing time. Haven't seen him this year, but he's down there. He should have a solid role, but there's a lot of unknowns, so that's a risk you take. It's a tournament play. For talking about Embiid, so Embiid, when he gets the minutes, if there's going to be a close game, he's going to be a smash play in most games. So if you play him, you need to run him back with either Westbrook or Beal, or it's more of a game stack if you do it because you're expecting it to be close the whole time. I wouldn't play him by himself just because, I mean, someone on the other team has to keep it close. Otherwise, he's going to be at the end of the bench. The only other guy I have interest on both sites is Seth Curry a little bit. He's 5.2 on FanDuel. He's 5.4 on DraftKings. I expect him to be like 4% owned. And he has those games where he gets hot from the 3-point line and does well and can exceed that price tag. But I'm not too interested in this game. There's so many games on the slate with important news later. So I don't think you need to waste too many spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty easy game for me. Tony, I'm going to throw it to you. Anything stand out to you in this one?
It's always just funny how my mind works different than the cash people. And I can always tell with Hoop, like I always know he's not going to like games that I like. And I knew he wasn't going to like this game because I liked it. I mean, we got a high total. We got guys like Westbrook that just smash every slate. They put up huge numbers. We got guys that are underpriced like Rui. I mean, the dude played, let me pull up his minutes. He played, can't find, he played 33 minutes.
33.
And only 23 fantasy points, but if he gets these minutes ramped up in the 30s, $5K is too cheap for him. I mean, he's a young guy, super talented, good basketball player. I like him. I mean, you got obviously Thomas Bryant is too expensive at 69. Bertans, if he starts getting minutes, he played 31 minutes. The dude is 48 and 4,600 in a high total where you're going to need the spacing against Philly. They shouldn't be able to guard him. So you got on the Washington side, Westbrook, Beal, who I don't love Beal, but he's always got upside. Rui and Bertans. You got 4 guys there. And then on the Philly side, Title said it. Like, no one's going to play Embiid. If this game stays close, the dude is going to get 60 fantasy points, almost like the Jokic effect. I love him. Seth Curry's been really good all year. If he gets minutes, if he plays 35 minutes, he's going to get in the 30s. He's cheap. Maxey, I never dreamed Title would talk about my boy Maxey. I love him. 3,300. This dude strokes when he's out there. Like, he's got a wet jump shot. Tournament play only with Maxey because you have a super low floor. Like, you don't know his role. Title said it perfectly. Like, I can't say it better than he did. Super low floor. But last 3 games, 21 minutes, 18 minutes, 21 minutes. If he gets 20 minutes plus, he's going to get there at this price point. I can almost guarantee you for 3,300. And it lets you stack up this game a little bit. Like Embiid, Curry, Maxey, 3 that way. I named the 3 the other way or 4 the other way. I just think it comes together for a nice little 2-1 stack or even 3-1, 3-2 stack. And being the first game, everybody likes backloading. So I'm kind of going the opposite as yesterday. Yesterday, everyone jammed the chalk early, didn't really think about the news. I did the opposite, faded. Today, I'm liking these early games a little bit. I might lock a bunch of early dudes in and kind of let everybody else wait for the news. You're on mute.
I don't think there's going to be much ownership in this one. So, if people are paying up for the studs, I don't think they're coming here. So, I might be able to get some
stays
leverage.
Close. Let me ask you guys this. If this game stays close, how do these guys not get there?
Yeah, if it stays close, I like Westbrook and Embiid a lot in this game. It's just so scary.
It's only a 6-point spread, though, too. So, I mean, you can kind of, I don't think there's a ton of blowout risk.
I kind of think the matchups go both ways, too, right? Like the guards of Washington versus the bigger guys of Philly, where they mix really nicely to where I think this game could totally shoot out. I think tonight could be a slate for tournament players where all the cash people are waiting for news. By the time they get the news, the slate's over because too many guys went off.
Possible. It certainly is possible. Guys, make sure you're hitting that like button. We're about 400 people. If we get to 200, we will give away some gear. So hit that like button. We have that promo code in honor of Big T's Workbench play just going off last night. Juancho, Hernan Gomez. The promo code is Workbench 2021. It gets you 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. That includes everything. If you're a member at Run Pure Sports, everything on our website under one umbrella, one price, gets you access to all our content, including our NFL playoff content, which will be out early this weekend, and also the PGA content, which we're working on right now and should be posted to the site pretty soon. So head on over to Run Pure Sports, use that promo code Workbench21 for 25% off. your first payment. All right, next game is the Hornets and the Hawks. Another big total, 232.5. Atlanta is favored by 6 in this game. And, we talked about the Hawks on our last show, and they have a lot of pieces. There's a lot of guys and dudes like John Collins are not producing at the rate he was last season. Trae Young, he's been fine, but hasn't seen, these big fantasy games. They just have a lot of pieces, a lot of guys. Capella, obviously taking away from John Collins a little bit with the rebounding and whatnot. And then on the Hornets side, they're a pretty difficult team for DFS. I mean, we talked about this as well. Devontae Graham, just a big step back. I think most of that has to do with the emergence of LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier. They just have a lot of guys as well, and the production's kind of up and down for most of them. Tony, I'm going to throw it to you first. I know you talked about LaMelo a little bit, and I mean, he's been impressive from a fantasy perspective. You're looking at 44, 32, 37, 37 fantasy points in his last 4 games. Price is $6K. I mean, it's still pretty fair. Is he a guy that you're kind of eyeing for tournaments tonight?
Yeah, I like him a ton. And that price point is way better on DK than FanDuel. 6,900 on FanDuel, I'm not in love with. I feel like that might be a little bit heavy. But $6K on DK is very tasty because you get the bonuses too. I mean, this dude, he's got 9 assists, 5, 6, 5, 5 the last 5 games. I think he could get 10 assists in a game, though. He loves passing. I could see a double-double easy in his near future, especially at a game versus Atlanta. Like Atlanta's going to play up in pace. I love LaMelo. I mean, Gordon Hayward has looked really good, too, all year. Nice, decent price. I mean, he feels a little high-priced, but, I mean, he's their main wing scorer. So I think it's an okay play there, too, especially against Atlanta. PJ Washington, another young guy that looks a little too cheap. He continues to look good. I mean, he looks like a good basketball player. We haven't seen a ton of upside outside of he had a 37 and a 40-point game, but he's cheap, $5K. And then the Atlanta side, Capella has looked really good lately, and he's still 6,700, 65 on FanDuel. His last 3 games, 35, 46, 31. Now he goes against Charlotte without any sort of like rim protection. I know Biyombo is what he is. He can get some blocks and stuff, but Capella isn't worried about Bismack Biyombo. I can promise you that. So I don't know. I like this game a lot. Trae Young is always in play, like literally always, especially LaMelo starts chirping a little bit. Maybe Trae wants to show him a little something. So I like this game. I mean, it's another early game that I kind of like some pieces from.
Yeah, I really like that Clint Capella call. I mean, he's been playing phenomenal, and he looks really good out there. The minutes are back up. Early on in the season, he was kind of hovering around 20 minutes. Now it appears he's going to be like a 30-minute guy every night, 29. Well, I mean, he's right around 30, 31, 31. So, I mean, you can kind of bank on him playing around 30 minutes in a good matchup here. Title, any interest in Capella or anyone else in this game for you?
Yeah, I think Capella is the best play in this game. Cash playable and tourney playable on both sites. He just seems underpriced. He's been, and anytime he's been on the court with the Rockets now, he's just a player that he's always active, catches lobs, good pick and roll player with Trae Young too. One of my favorite tournament plays on the slate, though. I think this is a Trae Young game. He hasn't done it yet. We saw last year Trae Young blow up in games and just break the slate and win everyone the money at low ownership. And I think this is the spot where he does it. Like Big T said, I didn't even really think of the LaMelo Ball and stuff narrative if they're going at it, but Trae Young's a competitive guy. When he gets hot, he'll keep chucking. And this price tag, 9,400 on FanDuel, 9,600 on DraftKings. He was over a 10K player last year, still has the usage. I think this is a great spot for him, and I like running it back with LaMelo Ball on DraftKings. I think he's underpriced at 6K. And my preferred option on FanDuel running it back with is Devontae Graham or PJ Washington, just because they're so cheap. Devontae Graham's 5.1K.
Oh, God, don't play. That's the most play of the night.
No, wait, you don't like him?
LaMelo takes all his role.
But 5.1K for Devon. I think like his price is shown now that they adjusted to his usage. he's still going to I think he's still going to shoot double digits. He's a solid basketball player. He was good at Kansas. So
I agree with the price. Like, the price is good. I just, man.
On FanDuel, this is DraftKings. I wouldn't bother. To 5.5K when LaMelo's 6K. But if you look at shooting guard too on FanDuel, it's not the best position. And if this game stays close, Graham's going to get run out big minutes, I think.
I don't think he's – that's where I don't think he gets more than 25 minutes.
Oh, really?
I mean, I guess he doesn't play with LaMelo is the problem. I don't know. Either way, the price is good. I agree with that.
Yeah, I guess I'll
24, 29, 24, 29, 30. Yeah, I don't know. It's been every other game's been different, I guess. So it's a tournament play, but
yeah, for tournaments, I mean, I think it's fine. But I mean, I don't know how high the ceiling is anymore with LaMelo. It just seems like he's the one that's paying the biggest price right now with LaMelo's emergence. So in tournaments, I think it's fine. I mean, I definitely wouldn't look there in cash games. Another guy I want to bring up to you, title John Collins. The price is low on FanDuel, power forward, not the strongest position. Any interest in Collins over on FanDuel at 6.8K?
Yeah, this is a game that is John Collins' game with up and down the court. He can get steals, can get blocks. Like LaMelo turns the ball over and makes fancy passes, so Collins can take advantage of some of those. Definitely a better play on FanDuel with his price and the stocks, but he's also in play on DraftKings, I guess, because he does show that ceiling. But more of a cash play, I think. I'd rather in tournaments go the Capella, Trae Young route and then run it back with either LaMelo or PJ Washington on DraftKings. And then I'm going to stick with Devontae Graham. I think he's too cheap. Tournaments, he's in play to run it back, and then PJ Washington too. But if you play the Trae Young route, you got to run it back because you're hoping for a close game and someone's going to keep up.
Something a workbench play of the night. We'll see.
Not Devontae Graham. I'll tell you that.
That's the Millsap play of the night.
Yeah. We need that's the Mangone play of the night. We're gonna come up with a Mangone play of the night. Next game, we have the Jazz. We have the Knicks. Totals 213. Utah is favored by 8 in this game. And man, the Knicks, I mean, they continue to just run these guys out for some heavy duty minutes. Julius Randle, RJ Barrett specifically, just playing as many minutes as they can handle. The price tags are starting to adjust. And on DK, Barrett at 7K, Randle at 9.5K. Probably a little bit too uncomfortable for me, but on FanDuel, they're both a little bit cheaper. I think they're in play. Mitchell Robinson as well. I mean, just by nature, he's a better FanDuel play than DK because of the steals and the blocks, which, we saw last game. The steals and the blocks were enough to basically get him there and hit value. So I think Barrett, Randle, Robinson in play on FanDuel, probably not so much on DK. I don't really like the price tags on Barrett and Randle, and then Mitch Rob's just better suited for FanDuel scoring. I'm going to continue on with the Utah Jazz. I've been talking about it anytime they're on the slate. Like, I need an injury or something or an extreme value price tag to really target these guys. I'm not seeing it here tonight. So I'm going to be off the Jazz, and I have some interest in those Knicks guys on just FanDuel, not DK. Tony, any interest here in this game for you?
Yeah, I mean, you said it good. I mean, these Knicks guys almost always have to be in play. Today does feel like a tough spot, though. I mean, Utah favored by 8. I don't know. They have rim protection to at least slow down guys like Randle. I mean, that price tag is just high. He's finally up there to where, I mean, you need the 50s now at this price point. So we're not getting that little bump that we got even last week where he was 8K and stuff. So big price, tough to play that. I mean, RJ Barrett at 7K, he's getting just a ton of minutes. So I'm not going to play this game, but I mean, these guys are getting crazy minutes. So guys that are getting 40+ minutes and pretty talented, I think should always be in play. But it's an 11-game slate. We can't play everybody. One thing I might do just myself, this is how I build teams. I need some value. I kind of think this game might blow out, so I might pretend it's a blowout. And a guy like Quickly at 3,300, he played 18 or 19 minutes last game, 19 it looks like last game, 24 fantasy points. He's another guy that I think is really talented as a young dude. if this game blows out, I could see him getting all that late run at 3,300 and getting me in the 20s, which is all I need. He's the only guy in this game that I think I'll have in my player pool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's not a really good spot. I mean, the only thing that stands out here, I think, is like the Knicks minutes and the minutes that these guys are playing. Matchups I don't think are all that good. Utah's on a back-to-back as well, lost last night to Brooklyn. Title, any interest for you in this game here, this Jazz Knicks game?
Yeah, you pretty much hit it right on the head. I think better plays on FanDuel. Mitchell Robinson stands out just because his stock upside. He can just get there like he did last game. Elfrid Payton's 5,300, which is really cheap on FanDuel, but they've shown that they're fine going to Quickly and Austin Rivers at the end of the game. And Elfrid Payton was having a great game too. It's not even like he was struggling. So that's definitely concerning. Limits his upside. If anything, it's a cash play, but it's not even a fun cash play because you don't know what fourth quarter run you're getting.
Yeah.
And then RJ Barrett seems a little underpriced on FanDuel, 6,500. The minutes are way up, like you said. Other people like Julius Randle got a big boost in price, but Barrett still is affordable. So I think he makes sense there. DraftKings, they did a really good job pricing everyone up. The only guy I know Big T mentioned Quickly. I would prefer Austin Rivers on DraftKings for 300 more.
Over Quickly?
Over Quickly, yep. I like us because I think I think he's going to get more minutes regardless. They in a close game or not, like Quickly, I guess kind of too in the fourth quarter, but Rivers got more first half minutes, and Rivers has the 3-point bonus on DraftKings. He's a chucker. He likes to shoot it. I think, I don't know. I'm on Rivers over Quickly today, and I think by a lot, actually. I really prefer him over there. Both going to be 3% owned. I guess we can have a little prop bet on that or something.
I mean, Rivers is like massively projected over Quickly. Rivers is going to be 10 times higher owned.
33 minutes for Rivers last time out. I think that's a lot of run.
I think Quickly's going to be literally 1%. I mean, Rivers is going to be like 8 to 10%.
No, I would take the under on that. I don't think he's getting up there. It's 11 game slate.
I'll take Rivers to be at least 4 or 5 times higher than Quickly owned.
I'll take under 10%, we'll meet in the middle at 9%.
I mean, Quickly's going to be 1%. So
yeah, well, I mean, I don't think if you're playing either of these guys, it's 11 game slate. I don't think people are jamming Austin Rivers or Quickly into their lineups. Yeah, he is projected, but yeah, that's why I don't think you really need to worry about ownership doing that. Obviously, just the tournament play though. And then they're
both fine. Like I don't think either one of them is a terrible play. I mean, they both have kind of a floor based on the price. I'm not saying they got a 20-point floor, but I think both of them get you mid-teens at the worst case. So
I guess this is where I think Austin Rivers has a better floor, but if Quickly gets the run, he has a better ceiling because he just commands more usage.
Quickly, that's where I differ because I think Quickly's actually good. I don't think Austin Rivers is. I think Quickly's going to be starting within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
he's playing big minutes.
He's a stud. I agree with you. He's definitely better than Rivers. I feel more comfortable in today's game with the minutes just because of what they've shown. But he got the late fourth quarter run. He played well. He makes his free throws. So definitely could be wrong about that. That's just my thoughts today. One guy in Utah, the only guy I'd consider on DraftKings is Rudy Gobert. He's 7,600. He has the double-double upside. He's shown a ceiling, but you have to lock up a center position if you do it. Going to be off this game mainly, though, on both sides.
Yeah, we got a little bit of news in regards to this game. Nerlens Noel is out, so that's a nice little boost for Mitchell Robinson as well. Really solidifies his minutes in this game where they're going to need a big body. So we'll move on to the next one. Before we do though, make sure to hit that like, hit the subscribe button. You guys are falling well short. I mean, 428. I said if you got to 200, we give away some gear. We're just sitting at a measly 125. It's hurtful. It's painful. It's kind of all those words we use. After us, we have Holden and JSU taking us up to lock. That is a premium show. So if you head on over to runpuresports.com, you'll be able to check it out. And one last thing, we have our promo going with Monkey Knife Fight. If you use promo code RUNPURE, you get a $50 match at checkout. And, we have a Discord channel fully dedicated to Monkey Knife Fight plays and picks, and people are in there posting things, basically every day. So Heading over to Monkey Knife Fight, use that promo code RUNPEER for a $50 match. All right, we have the Celtics, we have the Heat, 219 total. Miami's favored by 3. For me, I mean, not a ton of plays in this game. We got to see what's going on with Marcus Smart and Jeff Teague. They both missed last game, provided a boost, obviously, for Jason Tatum. Pritchard had a big game as well. We talked about him. On the Heat side, Olynyk in the starting lineup again. I think he's probably a pretty good play. I mean, the minutes have been there for him, 24, 29, 28. 27 and a half, and he's just a guy, when he gets playing time, he produces. I mean, it's very simple. He's one of the more steady guys in terms of the ratio of playing time to fantasy production. So I think he's a really strong play. He's only 4-4 on DK. But, for the most part, unless, these Celtics guys are out again, I'm not going to really be on this game outside of Olynyk. We'll go to you first, Title. Do you like Olynyk or anyone else in this game?
Yeah, I like Olynyk. I think he makes more sense on DraftKings, 4,400 compared to 5K on FanDuel. He gets power forward and center eligibility, so makes a lot of sense there. I say it every time, pretty much the Celtics are on the slate. Jason Tatum, DraftKings specifically, underpriced, I still think at 9K. Just a hooper, can put up points whenever in a close game. So I like this spot again if it stays close. And then if you're playing Tatum, expecting it to stay close, you can also run it back with Jimmy Butler too. He had a monster first half last game, didn't play much in the second because it was a blowout, but 7,300, if this game stays close, I think it could be a sneaky tournament game. Tristan Thompson's the last guy I'll add into, 4,400 on FanDuel. He's power forward eligible now, which is better. Center eligible on DraftKings, so I don't like it as much over there because center position's so good, but he plays in the mid 20 minutes with 30-minute upside, and he gets rebounds and points and stuff. So not a sexy play, but can get you 5X to 6X.
Yeah, I like that. I like that Tristan Thompson call again. I mean, just a cheap price tag, more flexibility at the positions. What did he do for us last game? You talked
about
freaking
sucked.
He sucked last game.
Me off.
That's why I was scared to go back. That's why I was scared to go back and say it. Yeah,
because we talked about how steady and consistent he's been, and it gets.
I played him on both sites that night too, and he made me very pissed.
Yeah,
I was about not to say it, but it's DFS, so I had every day is different. But I knew it. He did bad for me. That was bad.
This is one of my biggest weaknesses in DFS too. Like if I come back with him today and he sucks again, like I get pigeonholed into just I have to keep playing him until he gets there. It drives me nuts. Oh, I don't think I can go back to him though. Oh God, he hurt my feelings that night. I mean, they just didn't run him out there. It was like they were getting back in the game. He just didn't come in. I mean, he is cheap though, for sure.
Anything else for you in this game, Tony?
No, I mean the only guy for me is Kelly O, like you guys said. I'm not going to play any Boston guys. Again about Tristan, I think the slate's a little too big for the Tristan play. Like he's a good floor play where I don't hate it. But there's a lot of upside guys on this slate. Miami, I mean, Kelly O is really the only guy, and that's only on DK, like you guys said. I'm definitely not paying 5K on FanDuel for Kelly O, but as long as he's starting, did they already say that he's officially starting?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they said that he was going to start tonight.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's starting, I'm good with him on DK at 4,400.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, when he gets the minutes, very steady producer. I mean, you can really bank on it. So I don't know for sure. I thought I saw that he was starting. We'll have somebody verify that. But if he's in there, I think he's solid play. Another game where they're kind of running it back. The Pistons and the Bucks. Totals 226. Bucks now favored by 12. The Pistons kept it a little bit closer last time than people kind of anticipated. So the spread comes down. Same stance for me though. I'm off this game like altogether. There's nothing I like in this game. Killian Hayes is out, but man, they just roll so many dudes, the Pistons, and there's just no stability to the rotations. I've been off the Pistons, most of the season. I some spot plays here and there, but I'm going to continue to stay off them even with the Killian Hayes thing. I mean, maybe DeLon Wright is in play, but they have something against DeLon Wright where they just don't want to play him. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Title, I mean, you got your Bucks here, the Pistons. What's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just too much of a ball at risk. The guys are all priced appropriately on both sides. It's too big of a slate to even worry about it. Just cross it off, make it a 10-game slate.
Yeah, Tony, any different take?
Yeah, I mean, I was just hoping that Sadiq Bey was back on the cash sheet today so that I could ask you about him. But I didn't see him on there today.
He's not making the cut today. Not making the cut today.
But yeah, I mean, this game's an easy fade. It turned the 11-game slate into a 10-game slate. I mean, sure, you could play DeLon Wright. You could play some of these guys, but I don't know. If they beat me, they beat me. It's a full slate. I just think there's lots of ways you can get there in NBA DFS. Even if these guys can crush in other spots. I'm just ignoring this game. And the guy in chat, so this dude in chat says, got here late, wanted some decent punts. Danny Green or Howard seems – we don't play Danny Green on this show. Like, Danny Green is the Millsap play also. Like – some other dude earlier in the show said he's been crushing. No, he had one game where he got 28 because he hit a bunch of shots. We're never playing Danny Green ever.
No, it's not a Workbench approved play. I'm sorry. We're only going with the Workbench value plays. He is not one of them. We're going to keep it moving. We got the Thunder. We got the Pelicans, 213.5 total. Pelicans favored by 8. The Thunder their team just sucks. They're not very good.
They got to be the worst team, right?
They got to be bad. And honestly, I'm not all for taking victory laps, but I've said it for a while. Like, Gilgeous-Alexander just isn't all that good. Like, I'm convinced he's not very good. He's going to project well in all the projections. His price is down at 7.3K on DK. I just don't think he's a very good basketball player, so I'm going to keep staying off him for the most part. This is just their team just sucks. And you look at this roster, and there's just nobody to get excited about. Just no thank you. Just the Pelicans have kind of been up and down. I think this is just a good get right spot for guys like Ingram, guys like Zion. JJ Redick, he's been awful. And the coach he kind of talked about it and said, hey, it's my fault. I got to get him more involved. Played 32 minutes, took 9 shots, made one of them. If you pull up his game log, all right, he has made exactly one shot in 6 consecutive games. Exactly one shot in 6 consecutive games. Man, that is that's a painful game log. It's crazy to look at that. One of the better shooters over the course of the last 10 years, just struggling. I can't imagine they're going to continue to give him chances, but I really like Zion. I really like Brandon Ingram. I just think this is a spot where the Pelicans kind of roll, and as long as it doesn't turn into a massive blowout, I think these guys can definitely get there. Tony, we'll go to you first. Any interest in Ingram, Zion, or any Thunder guys here?
Yeah, just another case where I think you could play these guys. I don't think they're bad plays. I just don't know if I'll end up there because OKC sucks, like you said, and we got to pick our spots. We can't play everyone. I'm only playing one to 3 teams on the site, so I have to pick and choose my favorite guys, and I just don't think they'll make the cut. Lonzo has looked good to me too. He has played 38, 35, 32 minutes the last 37, 33, a couple before that. He's looked good. I'm buying into these Ball brothers. I like both of them. I kind of hope they play together at some point too, because I like how they play. I know I might be in the minority, but I do like how they play. They defend, they pass, they suck at shooting, but they do all the little stuff. I like them. I'm not going to play them tonight. 6,500 both sites, but I think you could make a case for worse plays out there. I agree with OKC too. So last year, we talked about how everyone just runs the projections. I swear Shea popped every single slate the whole season, and he never got there ever.
It's like where are they pulling from? It's like projections are definitely valuable and you can use them, but
it gotta just be his usage numbers where he just has the ball so much.
Yeah.
But it doesn't correlate. He's got to be, without a doubt. Someone in the chat could maybe come up with some comparisons. He has to be the most over-projected player of the last 2 years without it even being close. He always pops. Always. If you go in and just run the optimal, every other day he hits. And he never ends up on the optimal, but he always starts there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Title, anything stand out to you in this one?
Yeah, I mean, no, yeah, SGA is popping again, but I'm with you. Like, I don't think SGA is a very good player either. He has no one around him now, which even hurts him even more. He's had a couple. Actually, this year I've been on the right side of him. I played him in the beginning of the year a couple times, and he put up those games, but I jumped off at the right time. I think I'm still going to be off. It's an 11 game slate. Like, I don't think you need it. George Hill, 4,500 on DraftKings, a little value. They're going to need to run him out for minutes. He's starting. He's a solid player. He can make some shots. Again, not a sexy play, not going to go 7, 8, 10x for you, but he can get you a 5 to 6x, and that's fine for 4,500. Brandon Ingram and Zion are definitely in play as well. Better DraftKings plays, but like you guys said, just such a big slate. There's other spots that don't have blowout risk that I'd rather target, and guys just with the bigger ceilings, I think, because I don't think this game stays close. I think Pelicans roll.
Yeah, and that's the other thing with Shea, man. If you're going to pay, I mean, he always has a pretty decent price tag. Like, if you're going to pay it, like, there's going to be blowout risk basically every single night with the Thunder. So, that's obviously a pretty big downgrade. You guys got to hit that like button if you want gear. We got 148 likes. Got to get that sucker up to about 200, and we'll give some gear away. Hit the subscribe button as well. It's right there. I mean, 2 clicks, like, subscribe, and it really helps us out, helps us do this show for free on a daily basis. 3 more games. We're going to go through them, and then we'll get the old Workbench play of the night. We're going to go back to back. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat last night's, but Big T is going to do his best to get us there tonight. We have the Raptors, Suns, total 218.5. The Suns are favored by 3. And the Suns are just playing, good, solid basketball, but at a pretty slow pace, which is really hurt the fantasy production for guys like Devin Booker and the rest of their dudes. So, I mean, honestly, Suns are a tough fantasy team right now. Unless we see these prices come way down, I'm not seeing great prices anywhere. I mean, Devin Booker has gone to, I mean, for me, almost an unplayable dude. Like, he's going to have a lot of low, fantasy output games. He had a good one last time out, 42 against the Clippers, but it's going to take a lot of scoring for him to do that on most nights because with Chris Paul handling the ball. So I have no interest really in any of the Suns dudes. More interest in Raptors guys. Kyle Lowry, I think is a good play, good price tag on DK. Van Fleet's just, man, such a steady producer. You look 47, 50, 55. So he's kind of heated up here a little bit as well. Plays so many minutes. So I kind of like Lowry and Van Fleet in this one. Probably more tournament plays. I mean, I guess you could probably play them in cash games if you landed on them, but no Suns for me. Just these Raptors guards. We'll go to you first, Title. Anything different from you?
Yeah, I'm actually on the opposite. I don't like this game really in general, but I'm gonna have no Raptors and the 2 Suns that I can make a case for. Chris Paul on both sites, but I think he's better on DraftKings, 7,000. I think he's in play there. He shows upside on not a back-to-back when he gets the minutes. They're going to need him to be out there guarding Lowry, guarding Van Vliet, and these are the games he excels in. So I think he makes for a fine tournament play in the mid-range. And then Jay Crowder, he's 4,400 on FanDuel, 4,600 on DraftKings. Expect him to play pretty big minutes too. He can hit the 3 ball, gets rebounds, gets some steals sometimes. 2 tournament guys that I think will be under 10% owned that can do something, but not a game I love.
Tony?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, first of all, about Booker, they need to just price him cheaper. Like he's priced like his old role. They just have different dudes this year. Chris Paul's always going to have the ball more than I would like with Booker on the team. I mean, he needs to be like 7K range for the most part. And that still might be a little too high for me to love him. He needs to be somewhere around there though, before I even really consider him. Yeah. I'm off this game.
Yep. Next game is pretty interesting. We have the Bulls, Kings, total 227.5. Kings favored by 7. Bulls coming off a pretty big win last night against the Trailblazers, and now they get the Kings tonight. Another team, I mean, it's a pretty steady rotation. I mean, the guys that are going to be out there. Kobe White, Levine, Porter's been playing really, really well. Those 3 specifically, Thaddeus Young will continue to be a pretty decent value play until Markkanen comes back. On the Kings side, De'Aaron Fox, one of the more steady fantasy producers there is, a good price tag and has upside. Buddy Hield still pretty cheap on FanDuel at 5.2K. Marvin Bagley pretty cheap. Not seeing a ton of minutes, but he has a cheap price tag on FanDuel as well. Holmes, very popular play last game, got into early foul trouble and, never really got things going. I think I'd be fine going right back to him. I do really like this game. And, being overexposed to this game leaves you that flexibility for that Clippers news as well. So I really like this Bulls Kings game. Tony, who do you like here in this one?
Yeah, like I said, I'm on a different wavelength than, which is good. I mean, Hoop talked about how I get hot sometimes. I like when I'm on different wavelengths than the cash people, just because it at least gives me a chance. Not that either way is the right way or wrong way, but I like just having a different path. And man, I mean, Chicago with a big win last night. Now they're on a back-to-back against a team coming off an embarrassing loss. I think the Golden State game was their last game, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Coming off an embarrassing loss, rested up. I think they might just blow them out, and all these guys kind of don't get there. I don't really like anybody. I mean, Harrison Barnes is getting crazy minutes if he gets there. I mean, Marvin Bagley is contesting with Shea for the most overprojected dude in the NBA so far this season. He always pops and he just doesn't play minutes, and it's not going to change anytime soon. So stop trying to play him night in and night. And we've been on him on this show. I've been on him. I am not going to keep being on him though, because he's not playing, and I'm just not going to do it. Like, I need to see it first. Get off of him. I'm off this game. I know it's going to be popular. I know if it stays close, these guys are more than likely going to crush, but I'm just going to take a different path and go with it with some of those early guys.
Yeah, don't hate it in tournaments. I mean, there's going to be a lot of ownership on these guys for sure. So getting off of it could present some good leverage for sure. Title, any interest in some of these dudes for cash games?
Yeah, so this is where you can tell who the tournament players are and who the cash players are. And, I haven't liked a lot of these earlier spots. There was I liked the Trae Young spot. I liked that game, a couple of the games, but a lot of it's fades. And I think the best two games of the night are these last two. And with the news with the unknown for Paul George, it makes a lot of sense to backload lineups. So there's a ton of guys in play. We mentioned Bagley. I'm with Big T. Luke Walton, you never know what he's going to do, but he's really shown that he doesn't like Bagley and doesn't want to go there. So he's too risky, but he is cheap. Buddy Hield. I think they're better plays on FanDuel, but they're still in play on DraftKings. Buddy Hield, Thaddeus Young. Yesterday we saw him get a good amount of run. They really like him in these athletic matchups when they need him, when they do a lot of pick and rolls. They have him, and so because he can switch, he can hedge, he can move his feet a lot better than Wendell Carter can. So it makes a lot of sense, and he just causes matchup problems. So I like him as a matchup with Holmes, Kobe White, Otto Porter, De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine. There are so many good plays in this game. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it stays close too. The Bulls are a lot better than they used to be. The Kings, I think, are going to come out with some motivation. So I'm all over this game. DraftKings, not as much, but I think you can make a case for the value guys on DraftKings. Garrett Temple at 3,300, Denzel Valentine at 3,100. Two guys that just have a wet ball. We saw yesterday, Garrett Temple was stroking it. When he catches it, he was letting it go. Good shooter. Two very cheap guys that gives you some positional flexibility too. If Paul George is out, you can always go to the Kennards, the Patrick Beverleys, the Lou Williams, stuff like that. So backloading your lineup makes a lot of sense, but I think it'll be pretty popular too.
Yeah, I agree. All right, last game here, and then we're going to get to the workbench play, and then we're going to get on out of here. The Clippers, Warriors. Yeah, apparently Kawhi Leonard's playing. Everyone kind of assumed that he was going to be out. Hasn't played a back-to-back. Didn't play a back-to-back at all last season. Well, it's a new coaching staff, new team, and apparently that they're ready to start playing him on back-to-backs. Paul George is questionable. So, it creates a tough situation because if Paul George is out, we're going to want to load up on Clippers again. It's the last game of the night. Late swap is clearly going to be your friend. So let's just go under the assumption, just talk what you're going to do with the Clippers, whether or not Paul George is in or out. Go to you first, Tony. What's your plan for the Clippers tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a waiting game for the most part because there's just so much that can swing. It was annoying last night even where there was only 5 games and we just had to wait because that Nuggets game started an hour before. it was just a tough decision because if the news breaks wrong and Paul George and Kawhi play, basically no one's a good play in the Clippers side, or the Golden State side for that matter, because they probably just hammer them. Yeah. So it's really tough. If we think Paul George sits, then obviously you need to play Kawhi and probably the same guys, Beverly, Lou Williams, Batum. All these guys are really, really good plays as long as Paul George is out. But the minute both of these guys play, everyone becomes kind of a really thin play, and you're going to have to pivot to the Bulls game, which is okay. I mean, the Bulls game is a good game if it stays close. For me, again, in tournaments, I might just hope Paul George plays and root the opposite of yesterday. Hope he plays, hope everyone gets stuck waiting on the late news, and maybe the late news doesn't hit. And I already got my early dudes in the house, so I think I'm fading. I mean, I get the risk. If he sits, the plays are great. But again, I'm a tournament player. These guys are much better at cash. Hoop does the cash sheet over on the site where we have the rock solid plays that you can play with cash games. If you want to get a little crazier and try to play some tournaments and play boom or bust style, I'm going to just fade this stuff and hope things break my direction again.
And the thing working in that favor, I mean, Paul George clearly is not very dinged up. Like, he was on the sidelines moving around totally well last night during that game. Like, he's not super injured. So this isn't a long-term thing. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he plays and Kawhi plays. And then, like you said, it's a bad situation because, Lou Williams, even last night, 21 minutes. Like, what has happened with Lou Williams? Like, they just do not want to use him. 21 minutes with no Paul George on the court. That was wild. I mean, he crushed in the time he was out there. It's a tough situation. You got to kind of pick your path and roll with it. Good thing, like you said, though, is you have this Bulls-Kings game at the same time, so you can always pivot. Tony, get that Workbench play fired up. I'm going to throw it to Title. What are you doing here with the Clippers?
Well, first, I'm excited. I'm surprised Big T didn't mention Draymond Green at 5,100 on FanDuel. It's not a play for you today. I don't know. He's running out more minutes, steals and blocks. I know that's your guy, but
I like Draymond, but he's another guy that has played in so many big games that I need to see him get into a normal rotation. And I just don't think he cares about these regular season games all that much.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not on him. I was just surprised you weren't. FanDuel, the guys that make sense. I'll start Warrior side. Kelly Oubre, I think, is the one that I'm really looking at. 5,300, small forward, showing a little bit of upside last game, so I like him there. The guys for the Clippers, like we mentioned, it really is up to this late news. If they're both in, the plays just don't become as good. The Batums, the Lou Williams, the Kennards, and that just doesn't make as much sense. But if Paul George or Kawhi is out, we think Kawhi is going to be in. But if Paul George is out, you can go right back to the same guys as yesterday, and they're all good plays. But going to have to monitor news and leave spots open if you want to be able to make changes in late swaps. You're definitely it's not a day you can walk away from your computer when the first game locks and be fine.
Tell the wife, tell the girlfriend, tell the kids you're working the late shift tonight and then to leave you the
overtime.
OT tonight for sure, because we're definitely not getting that news until closer to lock. All right. As we said earlier, JSU Holden taking you up to lock. Head over to Run Pure Sports to check that out. The promo code that we have going right now is Workbench 21, and that is in honor of Big T's big hit last night on the Workbench play. But we're not good with just last night. We want to go back to back on the Workbench. Big T, who do you got for us tonight?
So again, it's tough to live up to the expectation after last night. We got all the way done the whole weekend session, like Hoop said. 4 ladies, 3 nights. I mean, it was a good run for us, but we got to get back and get right back in the winner's circle. I had a few contestants. I mean, Maxey, super cheap, 3,300. I liked him. I liked Seth Curry, an interesting little workbench in that same game. Clint Capella, I really like. Didn't quite make the cut, though, all these guys. They were teetering on the workbench. Didn't quite get there. But the main man, LaMelo Ball, baby, going against Atlanta. Whoo, he's going to put a big one together against Trey. I'm going to run Trey probably back because Title, I agree with him. I think Trey has a big game. I think these guys get in a little shootout. I think we might see a little 50-piece from LaMelo with a double-double, like I said, maybe 15 points, 10 assists, 6-7 rebounds. One of those games where Little 50 piece from LaMelo to get us right back on the workbench this evening.
It's what we want. I mean, every night the goal on the show is to get the fellas to the workbench, and it's going to be LaMelo Ball that leads us to that workbench tonight for a second consecutive night. We're going to run it back again tomorrow night too. We'll have winner at that time as well. So LaMelo Ball, the workbench play of the night. All right, we got to get on out of here.
I got to address something too before we get out, because the chat was all over me, and I just realized that I never addressed it. This is not a turtleneck. This was my mask from bringing the kids out earlier.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Big T is not
Big T is not a turtleneck.
He is not wearing a turtleneck. I promise you, Chad. That's not how you get to the bench.
Yeah, we're turtle. Do they even make turtlenecks anymore? I mean, I haven't seen turtlenecks.
Not anywhere I shop. They don't make no turtlenecks.
All right, we're gonna get on out of here. So for Title, for Big T, I'm Hoop. Good luck to everyone tonight in your contest. We'll be back tomorrow night to break down the slate. We're on out of here.